If you don't know what DORA regulation is, then this video is for you. So I'll explain you the basics of this EU cybersecurity regulation for financial entities, also which entities need to comply. I'll also explain if non-European financial entities need to comply with DORA, and then I'll show you the 4 key chapters that financial entities need to comply with, and I'll also explain what is the purpose of these regulatory technical standards, and finally what kind of obligations does DORA impose on IT suppliers of financial entities. I'll also show you a free DORA course that will help you learn more about this cybersecurity regulation for financial entities. So after you watch this video, you'll have a clear idea on where to start with this complex regulation. So DORA is a regulation that is published by the European Union, and it was published back in 2022, but it came into effect in January 2025, and it specifies a minimum level of cybersecurity and resilience for financial entities within the European Union. And basically the whole financial sector within the EU needs to be compliant with DORA. There are some exceptions for some specific financial institutions, but in general insurance companies, banks, investment funds and so on, they all need to be compliant with DORA. And in the description below you'll find a link to an article that specifies each and every category of financial entities that need to be compliant. Now, DORA is also mandatory for non-European financial entities if they operate within the European Union. For example, if a bank based in the United Kingdom has its subsidiary or a branch office, let's say within Germany, then this specific branch office or a subsidiary needs to be compliant with DORA. Okay, I'll give you now the brief overview of what are the requirements of DORA, and basically there are 4 chapters that are important in DORA for financial entities. This is Chapter 2, ICT Risk Management, Chapter 3, ICT-related incident management classification reporting, Chapter 4 digital operational resilience testing, and Chapter 5 managing of ICT third-party risk. And let's see briefly which articles are included in each of these chapters. So Chapter 2 ICT risk management, as you can see, ICT risk management framework, ICT systems, protocols and tools, identification, protection and prevention, detection, response and recovery, and so on. And each of these articles describe in more detail all of these requirements. So let's see what Article 12 requires. So as you can see, for the backup procedures restoration, that there is a very detailed requirement only for that particular topic. Okay, going back for the text, let's go for the Chapter 3, incident management. So basically here, how to set the incident management process, classification of incidents, reporting of incidents, and then a couple of articles which are more relevant for the authorities, not so much for financial entities. And then Chapter 4 around digital operational resilience testing, general requirements, testing of ICT tools and systems, and advanced testing of ICT tools, systems and processes based on TLPT. TLPT stands for threat-led penetration testing. And finally, what are the requirements for these testers that are authorized to carry out TLPT? And this Chapter 5 is around ICT third-party risk, so general principles, preliminary assessment of ICT suppliers, and key contractual provisions. This Section 2 is more around how the oversight is done by the government authorities. And you can find the link below in the description of this video to access this full text of DORA. Now, since DORA is a regulation, this means that it applies directly to each and every financial entity, and there is no need for EU member states, EU countries, to publish their own laws based on DORA. And in this respect, DORA is very similar to GDPR, which also applies directly to each and every organization in the European Union. However, DORA is not the only regulation that is valid for financial entities. There are also these regulatory technical standards, or RTSs, and you can consider these RTSs as a kind of appendices to DORA that specify specific details on how DORA needs to be implemented. There are already around 10 published RTSs, and in the future more RTSs will be published, and in the link below you'll find an article which lists all of these published regulatory technical standards. One of the most interesting regulatory technical standards is 1774 from 2024, which defines the details on how cybersecurity measures need to be implemented. Okay, let's see briefly what this CDR 1774 is about. It basically starts with Article 1, overall risk profile and complexity, Article 2, general elements of ICT security policies, procedures, protocols and tools, ICT risk management, asset management policy, asset management procedure, encryption, cryptographic key management, policies, procedures for ICT operations, operations, capacity, performance management, vulnerabilities, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, it goes much more into depth than DORA does, and it's quite lengthy. It's more than 40 articles. So as you can see, it goes not only in this risk management, but also in business continuity, reporting, and so on. Okay, now what does DORA say about IT companies? In general, DORA and these RTSs are not directly applicable to IT companies. However, they specify how financial entities need to treat their IT suppliers. And the official term for these suppliers is ICT third-party service providers, where ICT stands for Information and Communication Technology. Now the question is, who is considered to be this ICT service provider? And basically this is any company that provides ongoing IT or communication services towards financial entities. And as I mentioned, these IT suppliers do not need to comply directly with DORA, but DORA requires these IT suppliers to be compliant with security standards, even though it does not specify which security standards. So in practice, this will probably come down to ISO 27001, the most popular international cybersecurity standard. But this could also be, let's say, PCI DSS or some other standards according to this European cybersecurity certification scheme that is run by ENISA, European Cybersecurity Agency. On top of this, DORA specifies certain contractual clauses that financial entities need to insert into their agreements with these IT suppliers. If an IT supplier is considered a critical ICT service provider, then it needs to comply with even strict requirements, including an official supervision from government agencies. And in the description below, you'll find an article which explains more details about what IT suppliers need to comply with. I'll show you now how to learn more about DORA regulation. Okay, I'm showing you this DORA online foundations course. And when we click this curriculum, you'll see all the lessons that are included in this course. So in module 1, you'll see a general overview of what is DORA, who needs to comply, these kind of things, what are the main requirements, implementation steps, writing documentation, penalties, and so on. Whereas module 2 goes into the depth of ICT risk management, so everything that is related in DORA to risk management. So you can see key elements, top level policy, digital operational resilience, strategy, and so on. And next to each lesson, you also see which DORA articles are covered, but also what are the related regulatory technical standards that are covered in each lesson. Module 3 is about cybersecurity measures. As you can see, lots of them are described here. Module 4 is about anomalous activities, vulnerabilities, and incident management. Module 5 around business continuity and resilience testing, including this digital operational resilience testing, and Module 6 about ICT third-party risk. Hope this was helpful, and to sign up for this free DORA Foundations course that I was showing you, click the link in the description below and you'll be able to go through this whole course completely for free, and we charge only for the exam if this is something that you decided to go for. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel not to miss any of my new videos, and I publish videos every week. Thanks for watching!